It's easy to be manipulated when your mind is depleted of the ability to focus, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So since we've met, CJ, we've come into some different awareness. If you are interested, I can share with you.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, where to begin, right? It was like maybe 2 months ago or so that I realized that what was going on with that certain group that we was involved with was part of the program, essentially. And what the program was doing was it was taking minds that had the ability to think outside of the box, and it was redirecting them and redirecting us to be in a state of disempowerment. And that state of disempowerment is this. I mean, you recognize yourself, right, CJ, as a creator being, right? You are a creator, not the created, the animator, not the animated, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So what we're in right now is the creation, which is created, playing God. You know, flipping the script on us and making us subject to it, versus the way that it should be, the original intention, which anything that we create is supposed to serve us. Right. A creation is supposed to serve us through the experience of being in that creation. And obviously this one is flip the script, and it's got us serving it, as in harvesting our energy and keeping us depleted within its arena of control, which I just view as like a certain bandwidth of mind. You know, it keeps us at a certain level of awareness so that we can't expand outside of what it can control, essentially. So when I really reframed everything, when I came to deeper awareness of my true power and what this thing was, the sentient, program, I realized that it's a lot like everything here is like a reflection of everything else, right? It's all like a fractalized version. So in a courtroom, the first one to leave the courtroom, right, basically submits, right, that they lose that court case, right? Whoever leaves first. So it's the same thing here. If we try to run, or if we try to flee, what that actually is an instant submission of our power, right? We're basically, as gods, saying, well, I'm not more powerful. I, the creator, am not more powerful than the creation. So I'm going to turn around and run. And as soon as we do, just like in the Matrix movie, where do they put the plug to put them in the Matrix? In the back of the head, right? In the
Right.
back of the neck. So when we turn our backs, that's what it does. It plugs in right there and fully takes our power. So why would God need to turn and run from a creation when God is the creator, which is what you are? Everyone that has an imagination, a mind of their own, they can create a simulated world in their own mind, right? Create whatever you want with your imagination. If you have enough focus, willpower, and intention, you can experience anything in your mind. That's the same thing as here, only the difference is that here there's an operating system to maintain the creation so that we don't have to stay focused on it for it to continue to exist and to be able to be experienced by others. And the operating system itself that's supposed to maintain what we create with our minds has taken over and is trying to play God. Well, it is playing God pretty successfully, actually. So basically, that's what I realized. In the moment that I realized that if I try to run, if I try to escape, then I'm submitting 100% of my power and authority over to this thing, and that's exactly what it wants, is all of our power and authority. And as soon as I realized that, I was sitting in my room, and I instantly felt something in my nervous system. I felt fear energy being projected from behind me into my nervous system. And I instantly knew that there was a sentient program controlling another program, right? Because what I experienced was the Grim Reaper in my room, right? But it wasn't, the Grim Reaper wasn't what was sentient. It was something controlling the Grim Reaper from behind it that was the actual sentient part of the program. And it was there because the awareness that I'd reached, I'm assuming, isn't usually a level of awareness that's reached while an avatar is still intact. And because I didn't have the mind control mechanism inside of my avatar, the Archon, it just sent a program instead. And so the program that came basically projected fear into my spine, said, telepathically, I've come to collect you or something like that. And I instantly basically pushed that energy out of my nervous system, gave it back to it, and I said, you're not the end of me, I'm the end of you. And I went to turn
Nice.
around to face it, and it ran. It fleed. It changed stations, changed frequencies to where I couldn't interact with it anymore. And that's when I realized that what was going on was so much deeper than I'd realized. That what was being run on me was a psychological operation to try to get me to submit my totality of my power to the program in one fell swoop, which by running away, by trying to exit, I was basically submitting that the program was more powerful than me. And when I realized that, I pretty much started going the other direction. I was like, okay, well, this is, something I can't deny this, and I definitely can't keep pushing the idea that we need to escape, because what I'm doing is I'm pushing all these other minds into this idea that escaping is going to give them their power back. And I now recognize firsthand that that's not the case, and that actually what I was in that situation was a state of mind control, in a very Jim Jones kind of fashion, where there was one leader, and the leader, everything they say is right, and if you go against them, well, you're ostracized and demonized and basically put down until it's kind of like a preacher, how a preacher will preach out all the preaching, and then if you disagree with the preacher, well, you're wrong and you're the devil and all this other bullshit.
Right.
So once I recognized the structure of what I was in, I basically was like, I pretty much said, like, I need to stop doing this. And when I did that, members of the group came, and when they did, we did a group call, and in two of the members in particular, I could feel the hive mind in them. I could feel it trying to negotiate me coming back into that bandwidth, and forgetting about everything I'd experienced the night before with the Grim Reaper. And I pretty much, used my own will, intent, and force to say no, and I retained and reclaimed a lot of my power in doing so. And since then, see, because the interesting thing, before I was doing that kind of work with them, before, like months before that, I had an experience of taking my power back from one of these programs. And when I did that, I was in a higher state of awareness then than when I was, doing that other work. Like when we met, I was in a lower state of awareness than before that, when I had been reclaiming my power, reclaiming my mind, and recognizing that essentially the only way out of this scenario, there's only two outcomes that I see possible, which is that the program assimilates and integrates all the minds that are here, which is its goal, or we eliminate the program. I don't think there's a third option, or the third option being that we continue this struggle for eternity, where it's trying to integrate our minds and then recycling us, and then. But I know that running away is not the answer. There's really only three scenarios: is we keep this tug of war going, we eliminate the program, or we submit and integrate with the program. I don't see any other options. So I'm choosing to completely and utterly annihilate this pathetic parasite that's torturing every mind here. That's my choice as God.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna ask, is that like once you came to that awareness, I mean, as infinite beings that we are, or souls, it's, I mean, we can go, I mean, you can call it the bottomless pit, but you can go as low, infinitely high. But once you get that certain awareness, right, it's harder to go down, and you know that you should keep evolving in your awareness and finding the truth. And so I think that's a huge thing. Like I'm only 22, and like my generation, like my peers, like they just create more and more systems for us to, like, psyops, that try and drain our energy and take us back to our like a lower mindset and a lower awareness. And so it's just, it's, I mean, obviously at the end of the day, we just, we got to get ourselves out, but it's very tough. Like all these, like the program just gets smarter and smarter, but at the same time, nothing real can be threatened, and they're not real, and so they're finite and we're infinite. So I think, yeah, we'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, you're awareness, right? You have awareness versus the program has sentience, and the difference is that awareness can vastly outgrow sentience, because sentience is essentially input output, right? So it can only react to the environment that's around it. It's not creating new things in the environment. It's only taking what has been created and flipping it and turning it into something that benefits it, being the program. And
Right.
when your awareness can expand larger than that program that's trying to encapsulate you, you can essentially dissolve it, but just with your awareness and your intent and your will to do so is where I'm at with it. I mean, really, I don't feel right misleading anyone when I'm aware that it really is an us or it scenario where I don't think anyone can get out. I think what we're inside of right now is more like a tesseract, and I don't think there's any signal in. I don't think there's any signal out. It's either the parasite's going to be trapped in here for eternity, or we're going to eliminate it, and then we can get out. But I think that the one mind or whatever is outside of this that created this containment field is too wise to allow something like this to spread throughout eternity, because this thing is obviously a parasite. It's not. There's no benefit to it. You see the suffering, you see the misery that's going on here. I mean, you work with people firsthand that the scripts that was written for them is not very nice, and they're not learning and growing from that. They're just in the state that they're in, and there's the only positive outcome I see here is the total devastation and elimination of that subjugator of the mind.